This lab is EIGRP path metrics. So what I want to do in this lab is show you how to change path metrics with EIGRP so you can actually select one path between source and destination over another. If you have a default EIGRP configuration, it's going to load balance from R1 through R2 and R3 right to R4 and finally to LAN 2. The same thing in the reverse direction. The bandwidth and delay with default settings will load balance between them. And here in the topology here, I've got LAN 1, 172.16.1.0/24. I've also got this LAN segment over here at R5, 172.16.2.0. What I'm going to do here is first verify current path forwarding. Then I'm going to change the delay on R2 for both inbound and outbound interfaces. And I'm going to increase it to 1000 from the default. That will make R1, R2, R4 a higher metric path than R1, R3, and R4. I should see packet forwarding to LAN 2 from R1, R3 to R4, and also in the reverse direction as well. The other thing to consider is EIGRP always considers the outgoing interface. So here from the path from LAN 1 to LAN 2, it's going to be the outgoing interface in R2 that's going to be part of the computation of metric. And also in the reverse direction from LAN 2 back to LAN 1, it's going to be from R4 to R2 to R1, and it's going to be this gig 00 outgoing interface that's going to affect the computation in that direction. It's always the outgoing interface and the accumulation of composite metrics for all the outgoing interfaces, not the inbound. I'm going to verify the forwarding path selection from LAN 1 to LAN 2 is both paths. So we'll go to R1 here. I'll go show IP route EIGRP. So I'm looking for 172.16.2.0/24, and there it is right at the top. So it says I've got, see, there's equal metrics 3584, and it's going via 192.168.2.2 and 1.2. So it's got both interfaces. And if I go over to R4, do the same thing. And the route to 172.16.1.0 is equal cost paths, and that's via 192.168.4.1 and 3.1. You can see the subnets here. This is the 3. Subnet to R2. This is the 4. Subnet to R3. And there's the 192.168.1 subnet. That's between R1 and R2. And the 192.168.2 subnet between R1 and R3. So I verified in both directions. The other command I can show you is show IP route. It just has a little bit more information. So it's just show IP route 172.16.2.0. This is just some additional information based on what it is your lab is, or if you're doing some troubleshooting. For this here, this is the 2. I'm on R1, so this is LAN 2 route. Distance of 90. It's got a distance of 90. That's standard for EIGRP, of course. It's an internal route. There's the metric. And EIGRP 100 is the process. And it's got 2 route descriptor blocks, 192.168.2.2. And with these routes, with this command, it'll have a star next to 1. When I say load balancing, it actually doesn't load balance. The default is per destination load balancing. So what that does is if I have a destination between LAN 1 and LAN 2, if I enable STEP and leave the default, leave everything at default, what will happen is R1 will select a specific path, even though there's 2 available. The other one is kind of a redundant path. So with per destination, it'll send all packets to this destination over a single link, even though both are actually available. And if this R1 to R2 is not available, then it would use R1 to R3. But they're both available and they show up in the routing table. If you do per packet, then it'll actually distribute them. Well, here this star, that really is saying preferring 2.2. It's almost arbitrary, really. But there are 2 routes, and it's showing 2 paths. They do exist. If I had another destination, say 172.16.3.0 over connect to R5, then that would take this path R1, R3, R4. And if you look at the traffic share count, it's 1 and 1. So this is equal, although it does select one path over another. If I go to R4, it's the same thing. And what it's got is the same information. Traffic count is 1. So it's selecting 4.1, although both are available, like I was mentioning before in the route descriptor blocks. And 4.1 is this one here. So on the reverse path, it's taken R4, R3, R1. So that's interesting as well. So on the outbound, it's taken R1, R2, R4, then R4, R3, R1 on the reverse direction. What I'm going to do now is make it deterministic. I'm going to say I want you to take R1, R3, R4 for forwarding and reverse path. And the other thing I want to do is I'm going to also configure the load timer 1 second and a hold timer 3 seconds on all router interfaces to speed that up. Then I'm going to verify path selection between LAN 1 and LAN 2 and also in the reverse direction, and also do a trace route. What I'm going to do now is change the delay to 1000 microseconds on gig 00 and gig 01 on R2. Before I do that, I just want to show you the show interfaces to verify the current delay setting. See there, it's a delay of 10 microseconds. So that's the delay there. That is default. And on gig 01, it's delayed 10 microseconds as well. So we'll do delay 1000. And the same thing on gig 01. And there it is. Delay shows as 10,000 because there's a 10 multiplier there. And there it is there. It's on gig 01 as well. So that's been configured there. The other thing I want to show you is the timers. This is IP hello interval EIGRP 101. The 100 is the autonomous system for EIGRP, and the 1 is the 1 second. So hello intervals are now 1 second, and the hold time is 3 seconds. Note as well with EIGRP, the timers don't have to match. It's not like OSPF. You can still have adjacencies without the timers matching, but it's probably good practice to do it. Those same commands for timers are configured on all physical interfaces that connect between the routers. So what I want to do now is I want to verify the forwarding path that has changed from LAN 1 to LAN 2 and LAN 2 to LAN 1. I'll go to R1 here and verify that. So I'm going to start with the topology table. With the EIGRP, the topology table has all the routes. Then the successor route ends up in the global routing table. So I'm going to go show IP EIGRP topology, then the 172.16.2.0 route. I'm on R1. So right here, this is just specific to this route here. So it's passive, so that means it's converged. One successor. And you notice here the top one, 192.168.2.2, that has a lower metric. 192.168.2.2, so this has a lower metric here. That's 192.168.2.0. So it's taking this path here. That's the first thing you're going to note, because this metric down here is a lot higher. I mean, it's thousands. You notice the difference, 3584. That's the lower metric than this 25.9328 feasible distance. So this is a lot lower, and so this is the selected route it's taking. That's the first thing. That's going to end up in the global routing table. This is going to be the feasible successor here, 192.168.1.2. That's the route to R2. So this is working correctly. And the originating route is router ID 5, showing it there, 5.5.5.5. And I'm just going to do show IP route 172.16.2.0. So here it is here. There's the metric, 3584 again. That's the successor route. And this is the star here, 192.168.2.2. So there it is there. There's the total delay, a lot lower than the other one. That's verified. LAN 1 to LAN 2 is taking this R1, R3, R4 route. And I'll just do a trace route as well. And so I've got 192.168.2.2, 4.2, and 5.2. So there's the 2 subnet, there's the 4 subnet, there's the 5 subnet, 172.16.2.0. So you can see that's taking the correct path. Now what I'll do is reverse direction. What have I got here? So this successor, so it's passive, meaning it's converged. There is a one successor. FD is 3328. There it is there. So this 4.1 successor route, 3328. This is lower. This is much higher. You can see that. And the total delay is 30 microseconds. This one here is 10,020. So this is the better route, of course. So where's the 4 route? That would be this one right here. So it's taking this one back in the reverse direction. Go to R3. And there's 4.1 there. Gig 01. I'm on R3. Gig 01. So go back to R4. There it is, next hop. So that's fine. It's definitely taking the right route. I'll just do this one here. And a single route descriptor block. So it's taking 192.168.4.1. Great. And gives the delay, bandwidth, and other metrics. So that's working fine. Now I'll just do a trace route. So it's 192.168.4.1, and then on to 2.1, then the destination 172.16.1.1. That's LAN 1. So there's the 4 subnet, there's the 2 subnet, so it's taking the same reverse path to LAN 1. And as mentioned, with the EIGRP, it only puts one route into the routing table unless there's equal metrics and there's load balancing. So I'll show you the global routing table. And notice there 172.16.1 via 4.1. It's only a single route. The 172.16.2.0, that's actually connected to R5. That's this router here, so it's got 2 routes. On R4, it's got the route to LAN 2 and the route to LAN 1. There's only a single route. R1's the same thing. There it is there. 172.16.2, single route via 2.2, and it's got and it's an EIGRP route. So that shows you how path metrics work. Cisco recommends you use delay and not the bandwidth command to modify metrics. Since a bandwidth command, you have other routing protocols in the router, and that will affect the computation of those other routing protocols. And that concludes the lab.